Kiwi, kiwi, kiwi.
Here's a simple and fun sculpture project for little fingers. As my school's only New Zealander, I was recently asked by one of my teaching colleagues if I could make a lesson for her second graders that would complement their New Zealand focus for our school's Multicultural Month. Delighted to be asked, I created this lesson about Aotearoa-New Zealand's national bird, the flightless kiwi. The lesson is centered around the children making their own plasticine sculpture. We also watched some delightful footage of a kiwi in the wild,
Kiwi nuturoa, toro toro ngā ngara kai. Roto ngā here here. Rite ki te kapo, mautiri pou. Toro toro hi koe haere. Kare koe erere, koto reo anake. Erere nei te po. Kiwi, kiwi, kiwi.
and listen to their call. And we started to learn the counting song 10 Little Kiwi Birds in English and Māori.
1, 2, little 3, little kiwi bird. 4, little 5, little 6, little kiwi bird. 7, little 8, little 9, little kiwi birds. 10 little kiwi birds.
Links to these fabulous resources are in the description below. The whole lesson took 45 minutes, and this was enough time for the 8-year-olds to successfully complete their kiwi sculptures. Here's how to make a small sculpture of a feeding kiwi in the forest. You will need plasticine and toothpicks. If you want to use the template I made for my students, see if you can screen capture it here and then print it onto A4 sized or letter sized paper and work on top of that like my students did. Teachers, if you want to try this in your own classroom, have a look at the learning goals, keywords, and useful links in the description below. Let's get started. We are going to make 2 halves and join them together, and then we are going to sculpt a patch of ground for the feeding kiwi to stand on. First, take one of your spare colours and make a mound for the body and a smaller mound for the head. Shape these mounds so they fit inside one of the kiwi shapes with room to spare. Notice the gap I'm leaving. Make them quite rounded, not flat. Adjust the shapes. The body is going to be fatter than the head, isn't it? When you're creating these shapes, don't press them onto the paper too hard. You don't want them sticking to the paper. If the room temperature is warm or your plasticine is warm, you will have to be extra careful about it not sticking to the paper. When your core shape is ready, choose the colour you want for the skin and feathers and add this colour in thin patches and blend them together. Notice that after I've finished the outer layer of colour, I've added an eye with a tiny ball of black plasticine, but you can use any colour you like. If you want to have a feathery texture on your kiwi, now is the time to make it with the sharp end of one of your toothpicks. Repeat this whole process for the second shape. This will become the second half of your kiwi.
Iwi nuturoa, toro toro ngā ngara kai. Roto ngā here here. Rite ki te kapo, mautiri pou. Toro toro hi koe haere. Kare koe erere, koto reo anake. Erere nei te po.
When you have finished both halves, take one of your toothpicks and break it in half. This will be the beak. Now take the two halves of your kiwi body and join them together. Smooth along the joins so that you blend the two colours together and don't leave a gap in the plasticine. Take another toothpick and break it carefully in half. Turn your kiwi upside down and push the two legs into the plasticine at angles so that the kiwi stands up easily. The final stages are to create a grub or a worm for the kiwi to eat, and then a small patch of forest floor. In New Zealand, the forest is called bush, so we're going to make a bush environment for the kiwi to stand on.
Kiwi nuturoa toro toro ngā ngara kai roto ngā here here Rite ki te kapo mautiri pou toro toro hi koe haere Kare koe erere koto reo anake Erere nei te po Kiwi, kiwi, kiwi
I have made a fallen branch and a patch of ground, both great places for the kiwi to find food, and I've added a tufted plant with thin strands of green plasticine. It's okay for this patch of ground to stick to the paper you're working on, because you can trim the paper edges around it when you're finished, and then you can display your sculpture anywhere you like, and because there is paper underneath, it won't stick to your display shelf or table.